A very warm welcome again, our dear viewers. In our first segment in the breakfast show, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, which is the celebration of 200 years since the French scholar Champollion did also have the Rosetta Stone discovered the hieroglyphic writing. Indeed, a very important discovery which added the great extent to the history of the pharaohs and the Egyptian history. To shed more light on that topic, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Elhamy Zayat, our tourism expert. Good morning, Dr. Elhamy.
Good morning.
Sir, how were the secrets of the Rosetta Stone revealed?
How? I'm sorry?
The secrets of the Rosetta Stone, which we are celebrating 200 years since Champollion did discover the hieroglyphic writing.
Okay. Champollion deciphered the hieroglyphs, of course, 200 years ago. It was very interesting because he was only 32 years old. But he spoke 17 languages, including Copt and Arabic and Hebrew. This all helped him to discover the hieroglyphs. How he discovered it? By the cartouche. You know, the cartouche where the name of the king is written. He realized that this is repeated everywhere, in every place, in other things, because he didn't see, by the way, he didn't see the Rosetta Stone.
Yes.
He just saw it in copies, but he never saw the stone itself. So anyhow, when he started realizing this was the name of the king, he started finding out that there were some letters repeated, like Ptolemy and Cleopatra, the L, the P, the T, the A. And he started slowly discovering, and he had a problem discovering some other letter like the S. And he discovered it from the Bible when he found out Moses, double S, so he found it. I'm just saying this in a very short brief, but it's a long story, and the guy was really a genius, because some other people tried to decipher the hieroglyphs, but there was an Englishman, a Swedish man, who tried. They found out a few things, but they could not decipher. But the merit of Champollion is not only in discovering or deciphering the hieroglyphs, but also in putting the basic grammar of the Egyptian language, because the hieroglyphs had a grammar, and it was the basics of the grammar which was a bit, or you have to assume it was very complicated to put together the grammar of the Egyptian. It was not completed until Sir Alan Gardiner from England in 1918, he completed the grammar of Egypt. And so the third thing, of course, for which he has a lot of merit, is to take or to convince Muhammad Ali. He wanted to take the stones of the pyramid to build the dam in the Nile, in the Delta. The barrage, which we know now, and where we go for day cruise. He wanted to take the stone, and this was usual at that time, to take the stones of all buildings like pyramids, and he said, I will build a dam with it. So he has the merit of convincing him of not doing so, because this was of prime interest. You know what King Louis Philippe gave him in return?
Yes.
He gave him a watch, which is not functioning.
Yes.
And until now, it's there in his palace at the city. So I think we have to celebrate this great man. Afterwards, stayed about 2 years in Egypt, going throughout the Nile, trying to follow the steps of Napoleon scientist who came with him had done, and they wrote the very famous La Description de l'Égypte.
Yes. Dr. Zayat, how has the Rosetta Stone did help the Egyptologists and the historians later on to discover many secrets of the ancient Egyptian civilization.
It launched the concept, of course, of Egyptology and Egyptomania. Egyptology is the scientific part. Egyptomania is the hobby, the people who love Egypt. So Egyptology was launched thanks to the discovery of the hieroglyphs, because if you don't understand the language, you can't say more about it. And the language, the ancient Egyptian language, disappeared in 546, where Justinian, the emperor of Byzance, which was Greece at the time, or the Eastern Rome, banned completely the ancient Egyptian language. So it has nothing to do with the Arabs. Some people say the Arabs stopped speaking. No, it's the Greeks or the Romans, the Eastern Roman Empire, that stopped these use. So thanks to him, people started again thinking Egypt, Egyptology, and studying all the monuments thanks to the Description de l'Egypte. So the French had three amazing things. They discovered all this, but the first people who really wrote and worked on Egyptology were not Egyptian. They were German, they were British, and it's only until we had to wait until Mariette Pasha came to Egypt, and then he had the other discoveries in the late 19th century. And then, of course, Gaston Maspero, and these people helped, of course, but that was a bit later. So the French started, the others followed, but the French were the people who wrote the most and who read. I mean, when I go to Paris, I stand in libraries for hours. There are some libraries selling only books about Egypt.
Sir, also the Rosetta Stone is one of the world's most famous ancient Egyptian artifacts and arguably the best known object in the British Museum. How do you see the existence here of the Rosetta Stone in the British Museum?
The Rosetta Stone was discovered by a French officer in obviously Rosetta. And then when the French had to leave Egypt, the condition of the British Admiralty was that they take some of the few artifacts discovered, of which the Rosetta Stone. But they left them 8 pieces, which are in the Louvre now, and they took 10 pieces, out of which is the Rosetta Stone. But something very important to note is that it was, in a way, taken without the approval of the Egyptian, because there was no Egyptian person or Turks or Mamluks who signed on the document that say they can take it. So we have the full right to return it back. Many of the things were given by kings, by Muhammad Ali, etc. But this one, no. This one and Nefertiti, they were stolen in a way, because also the Nefertiti statue was the same story. So in a way, we have the right to claim it back, and I think some people like Zahi and others should really voice loudly that we have to take back the Rosetta Stone.
Yes. Sir, how do you see here this very special event, which is celebrating 200 years since Champollion did understand here the hieroglyphic language here, if I might say. So how can we celebrate this and try to use this in order to make the world understand better our civilization and attract more tourists who are eager to know more about the Egyptian history and artifacts and civilization as well?
You know, I believe, because as a person who wants to spend the minimum and get the maximum out of it, we should go to France, which is, Champollion comes from France, and do a lot of lectures all around France, because the French they love Egypt and they love the Nile. So it will immediately, we can reap good positive effects out of this trip if we do it right now. We have to plan it, of course, and take some Egyptologists in French. We cannot take an Egyptologist who speaks English. We have French, like the former Minister of Tourism. He's the best guy to speak about this. So he has to do a tour of France and speak about it in major museums or in the Rotary clubs where there are a big number of people gathering. And I can tell you, the French are always attracted by this. You can bring them from all over, they would come to listen to a good lecture. So I think this is one of the old things. We can do also a small exhibition of copies. We have beautiful copies of artifacts now. If you go to the Egyptian Museum on the way out, you will see them very, very nicely. We have a factory that produces them, and they are stamped by the museum. So it could serve two purposes. You can sell these artifacts because they are beautiful, and they say they are true copies, and it's the seal of the Ministry of Antiquities is there. And at the same time, it's a good propaganda. It's Egypt. You are selling Egypt. So rather than talking to ourselves in Cairo, because I think there is no use of us talking to each other here. We have to go there and talk to the people there. And then do what we used to do in the past, is invite some journalists, not from the trade, because they all know Luxor, Aswan, etc., but from the general newspaper like Le Monde, the Figaro, etc. These are the people who reach the public, and we have to invite them and show them. And believe me, they will be very interested to come for this reason if they are invited by the government, not by the private sector, because these are public newspapers.
Yes. How also we can use this very special date or this celebrations of 200 years since the discovery of the hieroglyphic language to promote also for the expected inauguration of the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, and how the world and many people worldwide are eager here to know more about our history and our civilizations through visiting this unique museum which will be inaugurated in Egypt.
You are absolutely right. We have to start talking about tentative dates of opening the museum. We don't have the final date, but we can talk about tentative dates. And so the picture and what they have achieved so far. And the best pictures are the pictures of the laboratories where they repair and they fix everything. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Indeed.
And it's all manned by Egyptian scientists, all of them. Some of the theories and some of the know-how is given by the Japanese, but the people who work there are Egyptian, and it's a very tedious job. You should see them repairing papyrus, all the things of Tutankhamun. I saw a sandal he was wearing, which was rust, and they fixed it again. I mean, it's unbelievable what they have done. So I think this is one of the things we should show them. We should show them the Civilization Museum, the Museum of Civilization, which is another fantastic thing, because the tombs of the kings have been, of the 22 kings who were transported there, have been really, really very well exposed with some of their statues, their history. So it's absolutely fantastic, and you feel the majesty of the place, not like before.
Indeed, Dr. Elhamy Zayat, our tourism expert, thank you very much for your precious input. Always a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. Our dear viewers, now we come to the end of this segment in The Breakfast Show, and we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to talk about the COP27 with my dear colleague Amal Mukhtar.